so one producer, artist, cinematic trailer composer that I've been seeing around YouTube and kind of all over music lately is Tommee Profitt. The guy is an absolute wizard with cinematic, beat making, cinematic, just arranging. So what I want to do today is try and recreate a beat in his style and take you guys along the ride with me. Now, let's check out this little tutorial that he posted on YouTube Shorts, which is like super cool.
Hey, I'm Tommee Profitt. I'm gonna show you how I made the Search by NF. I started with a simple cello spiccato.
Let's start there. Let's start with the cello. All right, so we got action strikes up. I like that. Let's check out what's next.
With some high, super compressed pizzicatos.
So here's string ensemble, got it set on pizzicato. That should be a good start. All right, here's what we got. Maxed out the velocity on those, and let's get even more compression. Thanks, MoTT. All right, what's next?
Oh, I added cello ensemble spiccatos as well as some low bass string spiccato hits.
All right, so we're gonna need string ensemble stuff, a little more cello, bass, like double bass, orchestral bass, and let's give this a shot. So Session Strings Pro, we got staccato on, and here's the part that I came up with. All right, so basses, I'm back to Session Strings Pro. Now we got to edit that. Bass is sounding pretty good. This is coming along.
Then I combined a hit, a Brahm, and a vocal sample.
We can do that. All right, so I know where to go for this stuff. I can never decide on these. So I'm gonna blend them together. This first one's more of a immediate impact, and the second one has a little build. So I just gotta make sure they're hitting at the same time. These samples are like always clipping when I bring them in, which is fair because they sound good, but I always gotta give myself some headroom. So I like that vocal sample, but it kind of has these two notes. So I'm gonna take the first one off and just go with the second note and just absolutely soak it. And we'll get this note in tune. Except this delay is out of time, obviously, because it's 140 BPM and my song's 115. So I'm gonna make my own delay. And so for the brass thing, you're just gonna wanna look up brass stab and you'll find these kind of sounds. That's a stab. And you can get more real orchestral brass sounding stabs, or you can get like synth brass sounding stabs too. It just depends what you're looking for. All right, here's the brass we went with. This actually all sounds pretty cool together. I'm stoked about it. That's pretty sweet, right? And now check it out with the strings. Tommee Profitt, my man. What's next?
Some weird bendy horror strings for tension.
All right, so I'm just gonna use samples. Maybe that can go into the drop. See, now I'm starting to do my own thing. Okay, that just sounds ridiculous. This one sounds really weird, but if it's quiet enough, I think it'll be fine. All right, let's see where we're at.
Once you get to the chorus, add a bunch of drums.
Finally. Now we can just make a beat. All right, it's coming along. All right, I'm gonna put in these vocal chops again here.
And find the biggest tubular bell you can find.
Can't forget the bell. All right, using samples because I'm doing this for fun, and I got this bell here, but it's like one note off where I need it to be. So I'm gonna run it into Melodyne and just drop it down just a semitone. There it is. I can't believe how perfect that worked out.
Then I found this really strange violin trill sound that I used to accent the melody as well.
When I work during the day as a mixer, I don't get to use trills that often, so this is gonna be fun. I got string ensemble here in Contact, using the trill setting. It honestly sounds pretty good, and I'm basically just following what the bass line did and doing some octaves. Sounds like this. MoTT saving the day.
Then halfway through that, I added a harmony, so it felt like it was progressing.
All right, so we're gonna add the harmony now. So for this, I'm just back to the string ensemble and regular sustains.
These are full-on movie trailer sound effects.
All right, so let's make a nice impact. We'll break it down. So when you're looking for samples, just look up stuff like cinematic riser or cinematic impact, and you're gonna find some really good stuff like this. All right, so the key here is gonna be layering these, but don't layer too many because then it can just sound muddy. Sometimes you gotta be decisive, but in this case, these seem to fit together really well. And I'll just blend this stomp with the two impacts we had before.
Tuck in some brass for that big orchestral effect. A choir to make it feel epic.
Okay, so brass and choir, and then we're done. All right, so the brass was pretty easy. Again, maxed out the velocity on those. Yep, so Logic Pro for the choir. Nice. Okay. And guess what, everybody? I do have some Logic chops. How does that stock choir sound so good off the bat? I gotta use Logic more. This is awesome. And these are just the legacy sounds. Let's just do this. Nice. Gonna bounce it out with a bit less reverb. All right, let's bring these over. Nice. Sometimes samples are just a little behind. You gotta nudge them forward. And now it's time to mix. Time to mix. Here are the highlights. Clipped them, added a bit of reverb, and balanced them a tiny bit, inflating it a bit. A little bit of EQ, and I ended up widening these both out because it sounded really good with the stereo spectrum filled out. All right, gonna add a bit of saturation to the string ensemble. Also got a bit of multiband compression on here, and I'm smoothing out the low mids a little bit. Listen to that before. Okay, and now just to make that bass really sharp and tight, let's remove that sustain. Something like that's going to be better. And this MV2 upwards and downwards compression also sounds killer on bass. It's a total hack. Multiband. For the vocal chop, I basically just made it a little more wet and added some automation so that delay repetition would be brought out more. I took out most of the lows. We didn't really need the lows. I brightened up the boy choir a bit and then just sent them both to a huge reverb. And then on the church choir, I basically did the same thing, but widened it out a lot after the reverb just to make it sound huge. I basically just took the top off of it and made it really warm sounding and put a ton of reverb on it, just basically to set it way back so it's something you feel more than hear. All right, and since the impacts and risers were pre-mixed samples, I only really had to balance those. I didn't really have to do any processing on them. And on the master, I've just got the tiniest little bit of multiband compression, and then I'm just clipping it. You can basically cut and paste this arrangement however you want, but I did an A, B, C, and D section just to show how each section built. All right, let's listen to the mix. If you found it interesting how I put the mix together, I think you might really enjoy my free home mixing cheat sheet. You can go download that now. It has all sorts of common settings for most instruments about EQ, compression, effects, that type of thing. I think you'll find it super helpful, and the free download link will be at the top of the description. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would be great to have you here for next time. Shoutouts to Tommee Profitt, and I think you're really going to enjoy this video here. So just click on there next, and I'll see you inside.